The main motivation is quite simple, and you certainly know it yourself. It's not really to have the medals. I'm not sure about you, but when I finish a competition and I get a medal, the celebration is either 1 second or absent. Nowadays, I
Yes.
think it's absent. I have so many of these medals. It's mostly the pain and the suffering that brings me huge mental gains,
Yeah.
that makes me a stud, that makes me a different specimen.
Hi, Charles. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, my friend.
Yes, I'm super excited to talk to you. You're CEO at Top Leads. You have had multiple companies before then. You have done Ironman, Spartan races. What is the driving factor here?
Yeah, Ironman, Spartans, ultra races, 10-kilometer swims, 7 days silent meditation, 3 days dark room meditation. So, bunch of extreme stuff. The main motivation is quite simple, and you certainly know it yourself. It's not really to have the medals. I'm not sure about you, but when I finish a competition and I get a medal, the celebration is either 1 second or absent. Nowadays, I
Yes.
think it's absent. I have so many of these medals. It's mostly the pain and the suffering that brings me huge mental gains, that makes me a stud, that makes me a different specimen. Some people don't understand what it feels to be that way. Basically, your pain tolerance is really high, your grit is through the roof, you're unfazed through most events that life throws at you. Obviously, I had hardships with running my businesses that I scaled to 1,000 employees at some point. I had pretty stressful stuff happen with that. But yeah, for example, my last Spartan race, it's 50K in the mountains, 2,000 meters plus altitude in Mexico City with pollution, which is pretty bad for a former asthmatic like myself, and 60 obstacles, right, in the military college. And yeah, your legs, they give up at some point. I ran it with my Vibrant barefoot. So for people that know these, it's like being barefoot, right? So a lot of foot pain. And the reason that I do that is to avoid injury, which works. More on that later. But basically, yeah, you are with yourself alone in your mind with your demons, right? Oh, Charles, let's walk. Oh, this is stressful. You might not finish. Or, oh, this guy just passed you. He's better than you. So you're constantly having to shut down, negotiate, meditate with that voice. And the gains, they happen up there. Like your brain is like a muscle and it fires in many ways. You can control how it fires. And it's certainly in my case, 8 hour 30 event that I'm with myself, with my own mind. And it's a full therapy. It's a full lobotomy and mindset rebuild. And when I go out of these events, the gains are trickled throughout the weeks. I observe more cash in my business. I observe more patience in myself. I observe that I'm habit stacking. I'm removing bad habits in my life, and I'm just becoming a better version of myself. So some people have their retreats, and I also have my form of retreats, just traveling for leisure, yoga retreats, psychedelics, and so forth. But these right there, I think they're the most accessible to all. A Spartan events is $300. You don't need that much training, and the gains in your life are just humongous. So that's why I do it.
Love it. You brought up something. You said you like to do it because you like to fight through the pain, which is a very interesting concept because there are so many people who go through life trying to avoid pain, whereas champions go through life looking for pain. This idea that you presented, if someone were to ask you, why do you go looking for pain? You said the answer in terms of because it makes you a better version of yourself, right? Anyone cannot do this. This is not meant for anyone and everyone. There are intellectually, logically, people might think, yeah, I would like to do that. I think there's something about people like yourself that are built differently. Do you think that?
I don't think so. I think we're all born losers. We're all born weak creatures that are taken care of by our parents, very frail creatures. We're born with fear into us, into our veins. We're born scared bitches. And basically, you acquire that. What you and I, what we have the advantage, the genetic advantage is this ambition, this chip on the shoulder, which not everyone has. My dad, he's an entrepreneur. Yeah, he had fancy cars when we were younger. So he had that drive, that testosterone, but he's not the most testosteronous person that I know, certainly compared to myself, for example. So there might be genes, but I think, yeah, looking back at my life and certainly looking at yours from what you told me, we had pivotal moments, right? We had
Yeah.
moments in which we bitched out or not. It was like do or die. So
Yeah.
and you have a way rougher, tougher background than myself. Let's put that on the map, like I was born in middle, upper class. I mean, I took Muay Thai with friends. I didn't have much me. I was actually a bully in some situations, one could argue. We can discuss more on the bullying topic. I have my opinions on that. But yeah, I was a loser. I was all about partying, women, alcohol, and hedonistic lifestyle in my teenage years. Video games, easy stuff. Not my fault, right? Like my parents and most parents and the world sends you to an educational system which is total fucking bullshit, which is why I'll start my school in a couple of years. But I was directionless. I didn't know what to do. And then when I tried to have a direction, they refused me in the law program. Since I had issues with my behaviors, they also plugged me in the retarded programs basically while I started school in enriched programs for the smart kids. So they really tried to play tricks on me. I was a little fucker as well. So it was well deserved, but that created a kid without any direction. And one day I was like, fuck it. Okay, I've just been refused from law program. I'm gonna drink intensively for 2 weeks with my friends in Europe. And after that, I'm gonna pivot, which is exactly what I did. My parents changed locations. They bought a new house. So I was not anymore hanging out with my toxic circle of friends. And yeah, I gave up alcohol because I wasn't with them. And before long, I discovered entrepreneurship. I would buy shit on Chinese websites for $1 and I would resell it for 50. I discovered that I could make 50, $100 an hour instead of 10. And that was the magic moment for me. I never looked back after that. I went into exchange programs. I started a bunch of business. I became a partner with my first mentor. I was really ambitious. I've shown that guy that was an eccentric millionaire that I was worth something. Then I branched out by my own, which was a scary move. I did various jumps in this life that are scary to most, traveling the world, working fully online, doing these Ironmans, committing to one woman, etc. I always did the tough choice, the long-term decisions, and that's why I'm here today. I don't think necessarily I'm built different. I'm certainly ADHD, slightly autistic, and some stuff like that. But I think I very much believe any human can change themselves. Like I very much drink the self-development Kool-Aid. You do too. It's a journey. It starts with Tony Robbins or some freak of nature like that to just push you towards a good path. And once you find your path, you just double down on it. And every fucking day that I live in this life, it's heaven compared to being in a prison like I was back in the days in the educational system. So every day, like just spending that time with you, that freedom for me is just amazing. So yeah, I think anyone can do it. Anyone can change their minds.
Do you think it was the anger and the frustration that provided the fuel that was needed to push forward?
Certainly the drive as well to prove others wrong. I've always been like ambitious and slightly egotistic. I think people that don't stand a chance is like people that have been indoctrinated by the educational system. Oh, you're a good kid. You have an A. Then like you will typically see their paths, right? Like going at the PwC or Deloitte, then becoming a fucking 9 to 5er at a big corporation, climbing the ranks in 30 years. I think they won't take the red pill or the blue pill. I forgot which one it was. But yeah, these folks, I don't think they have a chance. On my side, yeah, anger, I had a phase with anger in my meditative phase that was like anger is no good. I'm gonna depart from it. My wife made me like consider having a different version of that. Like my wife is gets angry sometimes. Okay, I understand where she comes from. It's a pattern as well. I was never really an angry person, but nowadays, yeah, I use anger when I see something that I don't agree with as fuel to get me to the right point of action. I use it as energy. Basically, I have a factory in me to convert it into something positive and scalable because anger will burn you. If you're that angry, sour person, man, we'll see you in the YouTube comment section, right?
Yeah, no, that's really good that you brought that because I have a similar mechanism as well. And I'm curious about yours because you're 100% right. Anger in its purest form can give the initial boost, but over time it will absolutely burn you. And all you are is just, I've been there because I've done that. and you're just tattered and you're sour and you're just unhappy. So if somebody is listening to this and they have a lot of anger, what is the mechanism that you have, the factory, as you mentioned, to be able to turn into something positive? What are the steps that you go through?
Yeah, if you're an angry and sour person, it's most likely that you're losing in some area of your life. So reconsider your life and question yourself and start building from the get-go and try to find happiness, your passion, and your flow. Try to align yourself with the best version of yourself. Typically, that starts with imposing pain on yourself. I think that's one of my theories, that we all have a pain reservoir inside us that we need to lower down every day through physical activities, because in the end we're monkeys, right? We're hunters, and yet especially people with high testosterone. So try to practice sport, then try to get into meditation. Maybe that will lower your anger, that will provide you a potential path to life that in which you're happy, because most of the time anger is just self-hate disguised into an external factor, right? Oh, I hate Elon because he did that. No, dude, just look at yourself. It's probably because you're a loser and you're not even making like 1K per day or something like that. You're just angry at yourself. What self-introspection will have you realize. So going through yourself, look at the why, try to understand why you're angry, lead A/B test in your life. Oh, if I practice sport, if I do meditation, I'm less angry. If I hang around this person a bit less, then I'll be probably happier. And obviously I'm biased, but I think the best path to happiness is aligning yourself with true passion, which is entrepreneurship, finding something that you love. Usually it starts in the shape of consulting. Find something you love and just offer consulting. If you need to sell your time initially, so be it. Then transfer it into packages and try to scale with mechanisms like cold outreach, podcasts. Get that money, talk to people you love as well, an ideal customer persona. In my case, it's serial entrepreneur, hybrid investors. In your case, it might be yogis or restaurant owners, or who knows. Find some people that you like working with, in which you have chemistry, and these people will generate happiness into you. And yeah, give that a 10 year, and yeah, one day maybe you'll find happiness. But yeah, a lot of people nowadays, they throw themselves in an ayahuasca retreat and think they'll fucking find their purpose or passion, or they think that becoming a monk will do that. It won't. You need external sources of data. You need to talk to other humans. You need to throw yourself in this market, have sources of data which your brain will eventually make sense of, and from that you will aim at product market fit and potentially ikigai.
Yeah. Talking of anger, one of the reasons I always say it's also important is because we don't change things that we have learned to tolerate. And tolerance is the opposite of being angry. So while extreme anger is not good because it'll burn you, extreme tolerance always leaves you in mediocrity. So one's ability to be able to get angry the right way and be able to adjust it like an analog, like a light switch, is where it really comes down to. And what you said is 100% correct. People are looking for purpose, people are looking for vision, people are looking for passion, going to a retreat when the basics have been in front of them the whole time. But why do you think that people want these shortcuts? Is it just because they believe that the simple steps that are laid out in front of them is just not real?
Because they're human, right? It's human nature. Tolerance, yeah. Like anytime someone's tried to steps on me, I don't tolerate that. Like I'm a fierce fighter, and I've debated often if even riposte is good when someone jabs you in the mouth, if you can retort with a direct in their face. I'm still a retorker, although I do not reply to haters nowadays. I think it's a pure waste of time. I think fighting is good also. Like most of the time, a lot of people, they don't argue, they don't fight. I think fighting is growing because you learn lessons. There's a way to fight as well, right? You don't do it viciously or disrespectfully. But I think, yeah, coming back to your question, it's just human nature, man. Like people always seek easy. Our brain, they're serotonin machines, right? Eat, sleep, fuck, drink. That's our primal brain. And anything that has to do with that or hedonistic pleasure, most people will go directly to that. Anger and drama is fun in a boring world. Like think of our ancestor, they had drama in their lives pretty much on a daily basis, right? Like someone trying to rape them or kill them, an animal chasing you. So our brain is also wired that way. Nowadays people seek drama on TikTok, right? And some of them, they are very envious. My wife, she had a video with 1 million views on TikTok, and you should see like all these fucking haters in there talking about her nose or ear or fucking skin color, whatever. So yeah, I think mediocrity breeds mediocrity, and that's the danger of YouTube comment. They're losers, and they will stay losers. What you repeat is what you will become. right? A lot of people, they don't understand that. So to change yourself, you need to consciously stop these patterns. You need to be conscious. You need to have an A/B testing mindset, and you need to be patient. Some change might take 7 fucking years. 7 years. Like most people cannot even wait 7 seconds until they flip to that next TikTok video. So I think generally speaking, we have a very mediocre society nowadays. I don't think we're headed for greatness. I think when AGI will hit, there will be two classes of people that can handle pain and people that will go for pleasure. People that can handle pain, you can think of billionaires, you can think of very dominant people, and that will be a very divided and interesting society. I still think anyone can change themselves, but it seems to me that one may need a very specific cocktail of events slash stars aligning to create change into them. Yeah, probably a very long ayahuasca retreat and a bunch of things that I prescribed as well. There need to be a bit of luck as well, or I don't know, drink or Kool-Aid, listen to your stuff and understand that a better life is possible. But yeah, the pervasive thing as well is that enterprises are encouraging this easiness. You can think of Amazon, right? Click, I just bought something, and Uber Eats. Oh, instant food to my door. Oh, instant porn. I can have an instant orgasm right now. And yeah, it's all easy fucking stuff. So I think, yeah, people need to stray away from these things and they need to go for pain.
So if I'm someone who's listening to this podcast and I'm young and I'm frustrated with the system, perhaps I went to a school where they tried to put me in some bucket and I don't belong in the bucket. And I'm really yearning for that freedom. And I'm listening to Charles and I'm like, Charles did this. And I want to ask Charles, what do I do? What are some of these first steps without glossing over the details? If we drill deep, what are some of these first steps that I can take towards this journey?
Yeah, I have a very precise prescription for them. One, start a business right now. You're still living at your parents' house, so you don't have much cost. Start a business. I did drop shipping. You should start an agency or consulting before you go with a fancy SaaS that will take millions in funding and sweats and pains to get off the ground. That is one. Two, travel the world. If you're at uni, do an exchange program. This will give you consciousness of the other folks on this planet Earth, their culture, and the fact that human nature is really similar. It will get you out of your comfort zone. You'll learn to work from a distance, make money from a distance. And yeah, that will probably propel you to some heights. After that, try to get as quick as possible away from your parents' house, because staying in that environment is not conductive to anything good. Most of our parents have outdated mindsets. They want your good, but they can't do you good. Most of our parents, right? If they sent you to an educational system, they don't stand a chance at helping you in life, especially with what's coming with AGI. Although your parents will drop a lot of wisdom on you that you'll realize later in life. And then, yeah, try to find other freaks like you, like founders and CEOs, because the journey is very lonely. Even when you have employees, you're just not built the same as employees. They will never understand what you're going through. Employees are really selfish. They're like not at the enlightenment stage of being a human. They're just 9 to 5 workers stuck in a matrix. So that would be a very simple 1, 2, 3 path for them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great prescription. You mentioned twice already about AGI. Explain to the audience what AGI means.
Yeah, artificial general intelligence. So arguably, there's already been versions of that with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is my assistant. It's my brain sparing partner. I use it on a daily basis. It shows glimpse of intelligence, right? Similar glimpse to what my $10 an hour employees used to show, which tells a lot about where this economy is going and where the industry is going. And according to Rakers, we're going to hit AGI by 2029. So like real AGI, meaning a genie in a bottle, that you would tell it like, hey, go get me $1 million ethically right now. And it would come back an hour, 30 minutes later with that in your bank account. And it would even deliver on the promise to these clients that it just fetched in 2 hours. Stuff like that, or crack the laws of physics, give us greater understanding of the world we're living in. And generally speaking, achieving the truth is a very important topic nowadays. the front running candidate in the US is constantly blurring it. I think that's very dangerous for the world. I won't use the democracy world. I think democracy has also reached a peak. I think the electoral system is rigged. And yeah, I think going for truth is really important, going for science and objectivity. Marketing has blurred the lines nowadays. It's all about promises and not about delivering on these. And I think AGI will save us from our human nature. But ironically, it's humans that will create that AGI. So it's pretty uncertain also what will happen after that. There's various scenarios that might play out. Some of them scary, some of them nice. I'm one of the people that think we're going to merge with AGI through a Neuralink-like device, which is also one of my moonshots. And if we do that, it's like limitless possibilities, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. AI has changed the world in ways that we had never imagined. No other invention has come along in our history of time that has been this impactful. And I think the general public is still trying to understand how powerful it really is. But those of us who are using it, like you said, in a perfect way, it has replaced my $10 an hour employee because it is faster and it does better job. So it speaks volumes to like the power that is right now at its infancy. Let's go back to talking to that youth, the young person who is frustrated, who you gave a couple of tips for. And one of the tips was perfect, which is that you don't have any costs right now of living. You're living with your parents. Let's start a business. When it comes to starting a business, sales is obviously where everything is at. Sales is how you make money. Without sales, you don't have a business. But in order to conduct sales, you need leads so that you need to be able to contact them. CEO of Top Leads, tell us a little bit about what are some ways someone can go about getting some of these leads at a low cost so that they could potentially start selling whatever they want to sell. And in order to make the conversation more specific, maybe let's talk about two different products and a knowledge-based info product that lives out in the ether and maybe a physical product.
Right. Also, a contrarian piece of advice that I would have for them is to avoid porn and avoid video games, serotonin inducing artificial mechanisms like that. I think that will give themselves a humongous edge. If you think of males that self-sabotage themselves, billionaires, it was through the lack of control of their sexual urges. There's tantra that you can convert that sexual energy into drive. And I think that's worth mentioning. It's one of the things that I posted about recently that was on my mind. And yeah, the sooner they can commit to one partner, the better, in my opinion. That one is nuance. In my case, it's certainly the sacred union that has provided me huge ROI. Now to your question, getting leads. Yeah, using Apollo and SendGrid's pairing together, Apollo will give you 10,000 contacts per month. SendGrid will give you over 50K emails to be sent per month. Apollo gives you 5 mailboxes, 50 emails each. That's 200 emails per day, eventually 500 emails per day. You start a podcast. Also, that's what I would do as a front end funnel. You interview your ICP. It could be CEOs and founders. Don't be scared. These founders and CEOs, they're not predatory alphas. They're people like you and I. Me, I'm down to be interviewed anytime by a young person. It'll actually be my pleasure to help younger gens because I've been there. I'm still young, arguably speaking. Starting a podcast, sending people an email saying, hey, first name, I'd love to have you on my podcast, discuss your company and your vertical. Can I send you more info? After they say yes, you send them a template to your podcast saying it's conversational, it's 30 minutes, it's on Zoom, it's easy peasy, no need for preparation. You film the pod on Zoom and you publish it on YouTube and LinkedIn. And with that, you're building your audience, you're conveying a message, you're being a thought leader, you're increasing your closing rate consequentially, reducing your sales cycle with that authority that you're putting out there with great questions. You're increasing your network, you're generating a humongous pipeline of leads. In my case, was 100 meetings per week at some point, and I would close 10% of that in 90 to 180 days. So that's what I would do as a youngster. It doesn't matter if you don't even have facial hair. Like, people don't give a fuck. They just want to be interviewed on a podcast. They want to be asked thoughtful questions. You can outsource these questions through ChatGPT by copy pasting their full LinkedIn profile and pasting it to ChatGPT, asking it what 10 questions on a podcast would be. You follow up with these people via newsletter, LinkedIn content, remarketing, and you should get a shitload of clients with the consulting that you're offering. Consulting could be lead gen, could be like reproducing that exact same podcast funnel, right? I don't care if you steal my thunder. No stealing in my world. I'm open source. So yeah, that's an easy way to get rich relatively quickly and scale, most importantly, because you don't want the quick millions. You want like the long-term billions.
Love it. Love it. So if it were a physical product, that they were selling, a business that sells a physical product. You had some experience with drop shipping. Is that something still that you would recommend, or is it easier to just go with info?
I wouldn't recommend that other than if they really want to do it. There's cost to that. There's shipping. There's China closing during COVID, right? Yeah, I think drop shipping consultants and coaches nowadays, they're full of shit. What I liked about my model back then was that it was so simple. It was like go on AliExpress, buy something for $1 and resell it on kijiji.ca, which is a local marketplace to sell stuff like in person. They would come to my house and next thing I knew, I had $50 to $100 in my hand. I did that with gold watches, Invicta watches, again, using a very 0 to 1 mental model, which is that Invicta didn't sell online, nor did they sell physically. It was really stupid. So I just bought these watches on various websites and I sold them physically. And all of a sudden, people were happy to have a $300 gold plated watch that I bought for $80. I wouldn't recommend drop shipping though. No, it's too risky. It requires a first investment as well. VS just selling your consulting and your expertise, especially as a young kid. Let's say that you're always on TikTok, right? I don't recommend that, but let's say that you've developed like an expertise which older gens don't have. So it's better to leverage that. It's much more scalable as well. And yeah, with that money, imagine what you can do as a young person, can travel, explore the world, and somewhat live that lifestyle, that hedonic lifestyle, and understand that it won't bring forever happiness. It won't scale either. And you can proceed to the next phase, which is the pain and scalable phase, I would call it.
The pain and the scalable phase. What are some of the challenges that you went through? You had already run a couple of businesses, right? When in your current business right now, what were some of the obstacles?
I hired 1,000 employees, so it was employee related. Even before I get to that, at first it was ICP related. I had a shit ICP. My first Facebook ads agency, I was serving 100 realtors, and it was very hard to serve them. They all have the same shitty product. They have no ways of distinguishing themselves. Most of them are peons, like they're low IQ, and they're also like very greedy. So meaning that some of them would charge back my $300 a month. Like it would paying them to pay $300 a month. All my clients nowadays pay me minimum 3.5K per month without even smirking. So target people that you're aligned with. If you don't want to be a fucking realtor or in real estate, don't target these people. That goes very much contrary to the classic advice nowadays by Alex Hormozy, niche down and go with money first. No, I say find an ICP that is directly aligned with you, with your values. And obviously, like I have in my values to be rich, right? And to be wealthy. So my ICP is going to be wealthy. What happened with that business, I had a couple of unsatisfied realtors. They all teamed up like bitches in a Facebook group and they started tarnishing my name and my reputation. And at some point, I was like, fuck it. I'm not dealing with that shit anymore. I won't force myself to deal with these idiots from Quebec, like these realtors from Quebec. And yeah, I decided to shut this one down. Keep in mind, I was a 20-year-old kid, very smart, probably the best of class in Facebook ads. And these people still find a way to bitch up on me or bitch down on me. And by the way, it's very pervasive because they're all competitors, right? As realtors, but they will team up on you when it comes the time to just bitch out on the fact that they're losers not making per year. So that was my first issue. COVID hit me in the mouth as well with that business that was still on at that time. I had to quickly pivot, right? Because realtors couldn't visit houses anymore. That also contributed to that pivot. So I learned diversification from that point on, like having not just one business, but multiple sources of income, small ticket, medium ticket, high ticket. Nowadays, I have my podcasts, AdSense revenue. I have sponsors paying me for the pod. I have $100 lists that I sell. I have courses. I have a whole bunch of trinkets that I sell for small and medium ticket, even before people will pay me the 10Ks. And then another lesson that is quite poignant is the employees one. I hired a bunch of employees. I had people that were somewhat good, but imagine out of 1,000 human, I probably picked like, I don't know, 20 people that were quite good. I can count it on, yeah, 1 to 2 hands. Maybe 20 is even too generous. So employees are overrated. Sit down and code systems instead. Don't be fucking lazy. Sit down and plug in a Zapier with various apps rather than hiring someone and brainstorming with them and losing time. And yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, you have very high brain power, use it instead of outsourcing to people. So that goes contrary to what people are saying nowadays: outsource. I've tried outsourcing, it never worked, it never scaled. While systems, they scale and never break. I can think of Apollo right now. As we're speaking, it's sending emails. I'm getting replies right now. I'm having people buy from me right now. I'm making cash while I sleep. This is the work of robots. And me sitting down once, finding that system, finding that innovation, and coding it to life, and A/B testing the automation, making sure that it works and that it scales. Employees, they only care about themselves. They're not aligned with who you are. You don't really want to spend much time with them. They won't propel you forward. You will propel them forward for sure. But they don't give back much. It's not in their nature. I think employeeship doesn't scale. I think it's modern slavery. It's either one party or the other that wins. So either employees making execs slaves or vice versa. And I think AGI will change all of that definitely in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. 10 years would be way too long, but yeah, instead use AIs and automations.
Interesting. When you hired 1,000 employees for somebody who's looking to get started, right? Are you self-funded? Have you taken out a business loan? For those who are at that juncture, what is the best way to go about it?
Yeah, I'm not bullish on taking loans and funding. My supplement business, my first real business, Nootropic, we did take a 100K loan, and we had grants as well, since it was a first of its kind nootropic supplement in Canada. So we contributed to research and so forth. But yeah, my other agencies, that's the beauty of agencies. They don't require any upfront cash. They're fully bootstrapped. And with that cash, then you can invest in either more ambitious businesses like a product business, if you like pain, or better like a SaaS, for example, or a no-code SaaS, matter of fact. So I'm very much bullish on bootstrapping. I don't think that loans are evil. I think you can use loans as a financial instrument, and you can become a great financial engineer and show cash, get another loan, from that loan, get another loan. Like that's what Wall Street is doing. That's what most millionaires and billionaires are doing. But I am not, foreseeing like negative numbers in your bank account and the stress that comes with it, because I think we're all programmed to see like negative numbers in a bank account as a very negative thing. Is fuck, man. I'm breaking my ass in two. I still have 100K to repay back. So yeah, mentally, you don't want to be there.
Definitely. You talked about AI tools. Let's talk. I mean, ChatGPT, obviously, everybody knows about it. What are some other AI tools that a beginning entrepreneur would need, and why?
Yeah, when you finish a podcast, you fit it to Opus.pro. It's $19 a month, and it's an AI that spots the best shorts off video call, like this one that we had with someone. And yeah, it produces YouTube shorts, TikToks, tweets as well. So yeah, that's one that I would definitely recommend. Sometimes meeting recorders, if you're consultant, just like to have it written down and have action items fed to you. And then you can ask the AI questions. I use Delphi to create my own Charles GPT as well. So even before people pay me 3.5K per month, they can pay that AI $10 a month, and they can get on a call with the AI version of myself, which is probably 80% similar to the Charles that you're speaking right now. So these would be two tools that I recommend.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk a little bit about the Delphi tool because it's so interesting. How do you go about programming it?
Programming, I'm a fan of not programming and no code.
Okay.
So using Bubble, for example, and even before Bubble, most people don't realize, but a simple Google Sheet is a business. For example, nowadays I'm using a bunch of data providers, and I'm reselling that data for $100 a list. So think of existing stuff that you're already doing and the exceedant of that. Oh, I have a shit ton of contacts. I have a database of 3 million contacts. What the fuck can I do with these 3 million contacts? Resell them at a low ticket. And then the smartness about that business is not only that the fact that it's no code and a no-brainer, but it's a low ticket product that will have people enter my funnel. So they start with $100. Then they're like, hey, Charles, what the fuck do I do with that list? You email them, you hire me for writing emails for you and set up your Apollo account and so forth. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's all about micro trust and accelerating trust nowadays. Start with a podcast funnel, a freebie, right? Then go with the $100 list, small micro commitment. Money is trust, right? Money is confidence. And then scale to a 1K, then scale to 5K, and scale to 10K. There's still wisdom into that and going in stairways in your pricing models.
Absolutely. And essentially what you're describing, Charles, is the value ladder that somebody enters the ecosystem at a very low ticket price, but we satisfy them at a certain level that they want to continue doing business with us. And that is only done by two things, by earning their trust, by delivering the value.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I love it. I love it. Anything else that you want to add for the beginning entrepreneur? Anything that can get them started, accelerate them, take the fear out of the whole process?
Fear is something that you get rid of with time. Like I said, we all start with fear in us. We're all bitches. Think of bullying. Like when a kid gets bullied, it's that inherently they've never faced that situation. They're scared of the unknown. We start on this planet Earth and there's a lot of unknowns, right? The dark is another one. We're scared of the dark. We're scared of monsters. But when you expose yourself to these stimuli that put you in similar situations, you're not scared anymore. So when I'm thinking of your questions, I'm thinking of what advice would I give to my kids? And I'd certainly have my kids practice mixed martial arts. In this life, you need to defend yourself. And if there's someone that's going to use their power, their force, their mobility and the gravity against you, then yeah, you need to fight back. So not only learn to defend yourself intellectually, because I think bullying is taking way more by attack, because again, people don't know how to react to hate, but practice facing your fear. Are you scared of, running a marathon? Start with 1K, maybe then go with 10K, then 20. Expose yourself to it. There's no other ways. Now, cyberbullying and harassment nowadays, yeah, sure, I see it in the YouTube comments all the time. People don't understand what I stand for. They take like snippets of what I said. It's all fucking screwed, like how human brains work, and they haven't adapted to technology visibly, that the brain is a bit slower to adapt. So kids should also understand that hate is easy, doesn't cost anything. And whether the person that sent it is a coward or not, the importance is not to take it much seriously and expose themselves to it. Once you get 100 or 1,000 hateful comments and you read about human nature, you investigated those people and you understand like who they are really. There are people that have been bullied. There are people that are just rejecting their pain on you. I think then your fear goes away. Because I talked about my wife doing the TikTok video. For sure at the beginning she took it hard, and I took it hard myself. Getting hate is never easy. As humans, we want to be popular, we want to be validated, but yeah, it's quite toxic nowadays. And I think if you expose yourself and you go for hard and you push pain on yourself, eventually you will face most of your fears. I can't think of much fears nowadays, especially after an ultra, like when you've been through a lot of these obstacles and these potential problems that could have you injured or something like that. When you've started all these businesses and you've seen that you're not invincible, but definitely bankruptcy's out of the picture. Or even if bankruptcy happens, who gives a shit? You just start over again. Once you face these things, you understand that you have the power. And I think that's quite important. Everything's up in your mind, and don't let yourself create all these demons, because I think that's how we come preconditions as humans. These demons, they come from one place, right? Most of the time it's our parents, the educational system. You need to recondition yourself completely. Once you're legally out of that system, 18 years old, unfortunately, you need to brainwash yourself and start from zero again. De-educate yourself.
De-educated, re-educate. Absolutely. When it comes to haters, I read this comment somewhere and it really stuck with me, which is that even Jesus had haters. So don't worry about haters. If he didn't stand a shot, you and I don't have to worry about it. But Charles, you are so inspirational because you say it exactly how it is, without sugarcoating it, without trying to make it sound nicer than it needs to be. Cold, brutal, hard truth about growing up, being a man, running a business, taking accountability for the actions, learning to be strong, and living the life of a warrior. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, my friend.